Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Alejandro Mendoza, or the Nerd Chicano. Either way how you say it, it's all good here. And we're back to continue on with our journey through Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project Volume 3 as we look at the next film in this set, After the Curfew, from director Usmar Ismail from the country of Indonesia. As always, I want to thank you all so much for the love on the last video as we talked about Lucia, the first film in this set from the country of Cuba, and I was really impressed with that film. So it started my journey through this set pretty high up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into this one, but of course, if you enjoy content about physical media and movies in general, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a single piece of content that drops on the channel, and leave a like on this video right here. It will really help me out if you all do that. Plus, in the comments, tell me, do you own any of these Martin Scorsese World Cinema Project sets? Do you like them? Did you like After the Curfew if you watched it already? Let's talk in the comments. I want to talk with you all. If you want to lend an extra helping hand, I do have a Patreon set up over at patreon.com/TheNerdChicano, where you can get early access to videos just like this one, along with some exclusives like video essays and other fun stuff that I offer on there. It's not mandatory, but it is appreciated. Either way, I appreciate anybody who watches these videos. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this review of Usmar Ismail's After the Curfew. So I'm going to go ahead and read this introduction here. You've already seen the packaging, so I'm not going to go ahead and show you that all over again. But I'm going to go ahead and read the introduction, tell you about the special features in this, and then we can go ahead and get into the review and talk about the transfer. Giving voice to the anguish of a nation fighting for its soul, Usmar Ismail's After the Curfew follows the descent into disillusionment of a former freedom fighter who is unable to readjust to civilian life following the revolution that gave Indonesia independence from the Netherlands. Steeped in moody atmospherics and psychological tension, the film struck its national cinema like a bolt of lightning, illuminating on screen for the first time and with unflinching realism the emotional toll of Indonesian society's post-colonial struggles. In this edition, you get a new restored 4K digital transfer overseen by the World Cinema Project in collaboration with the Cineteca di Bologna, with uncompressed mononeural soundtracks on the Blu-ray, new introduction to the film by World Cinema Project founder Martin Scorsese, and a new interview with journalist J.B. Cristanto on After the Curfew, plus a new English subtitle translation. Nothing too expansive, that's all that's offered on this Blu-ray. But I forgot to mention on Lucia, but I have been watching the introductions at least. I am not watching all of the special features just yet, but I am watching the introductions, and Martin Scorsese really does give some interesting insight within the film. Martin Scorsese mentions that even though this isn't the first Indonesian film to be released, this is the first Indonesian film to be released internationally into other countries outside of Indonesia, which made it really interesting, which means that this is actually my introduction into Indonesian cinema. I know I've in the past tried to watch the submissions from Indonesia, and it's been kind of hard to get access to them, but I've got to say that this being my introduction, I was surprised by After the Curfew, but it's not without its faults. Now, to concentrate more on the positives, I really like this story. Especially it being a story of post-war and the struggle of adjusting to society after war, which is one that you see a lot, yet it's never concentrated on post-revolutionary and post-colonial struggles. Granted, here in the US you do see a lot of post-war films, but they're never really around the idea of post-revolution, since the American Revolution is such a really singular tale, and it's not really revolved around more than just the fight for freedom, and usually what comes after the revolution is what's discussed more. When it comes to After the Curfew, I was really drawn to the story. I was really enthralled in this idea of this society that is trying to adjust to an independent state now, because the Netherlands used to own Indonesia and their fight for independence was won, but you have people like our main character who are coming out of the war that are having a hard time finding work, and then they get drawn into the things they shouldn't be doing, which leads them to their eventual demise. Yet you also have people like those who surround our main character who are having a hard time, with how to approach living in this independent state now, and being able to expand their culture and being able to preserve their identity and now be used to being an independent state. I really like the cinematography. I think that it works well for a film from 1954, even though it's not the most stylistically rich, but it does work a lot for its tight conversations it needs to be had. The performances are well done as well. I really like the settings that we used and the locations that we were setting the film in. But what worked the most for me was really the overarching story and this thematic exploration of what people are to be doing after this struggle begins of post-colonialism. And it's something that I have a lot of research in. I have a lot of time spent into learning about the post-colonial struggle. It may not be in Indonesia, but the post-colonial struggle is one of global for those who have been affected by colonialism. It's without faults. The movie drags on a lot, and especially for a movie that's an hour and 40 minutes long, I feel like it shouldn't be dragging that much. And it's hard to get through this movie sometimes, but its thematic exploration really does make up for it. And overall, I've got to say that I like this movie. I don't love it, but it is a good introduction into Indonesian cinema. And for that, I'm really thankful. And that's really, like I said, the special thing about the World Cinema Project. They introduce you to movies, even though they won't be the best movies you've ever seen. These are the movies that are really important to these countries. And they're the ones who help build a path for others to make even better film. Now let's talk about the transfer. So this is a 4K digital transfer on a Blu-ray disc. I watched it on a Panasonic 4K player on a TCL 4K TV. And because of that, I'm going to benefit a bit from some upscaling. So I gotta say that after the Curfew looks pretty good on my TV. I don't really have a problem with the video aspect. I think everything looks clean. They were talking about how they use interpositives in the restoration because some footage was just not working well, or it was lost, and there was also some vinegar syndrome on the actual film stock. But what we're able to see in this final product looks good. I can't really complain about anything in the video side. The grain looks great. The resolution isn't too distracting. It looks like a film that is from 1954. It's just been cleaned up and it's been upgraded, and because of that, I think it looks great. I really like the contrast. The lighting brings out a really nice, interesting detail out of the film stock. It's not the sharpest, but it's also not the softest. There's no harsh shadows, but everything looks natural. Everything looks like your everyday life, and that's kind of what the feeling you need to get from a film like this. And the digital transfer does a great job of bringing that to life. Now, the audio is probably the roughest part of this film. It's not the worst audio I've heard, and it's a mono soundtrack, so it's gonna have a better output than the audio track before, but it is rough. There's scratching, there's hissing, there's a bit of a problem with the dialogue, but it's not distracting. It doesn't keep you away from the film, and it works well. I just think that this is something that's going to be cleaned up for years to come. So the fact that we get to preserve these films, the fact that they're now available, means that these negatives are being taken care of. Now we can try to clean that up and present to you a better audio soundtrack down the line. And I gotta say, either way, it's still really good for 1954. I mean, even Ikiru from Akira Kurosawa has its little bit of roughness in the audio, and that's a 4K digital restoration with a mono soundtrack. So I really can't fault it too much. It sounds good. It's not gonna be like your Atmos or your X or your HD surround sound. It's just a good audio track. It does its job, and I'm glad that it balances itself out with the video restoration. To keep up to date with me on all things social media, make sure you follow me at The Nerd Chicano on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Letterboxd, and Serialized. Let's talk about movies. I want to talk with you all, so just follow me. I usually follow back unless you're one of the bots who, keep sending me messages about wanting work or about those hot girls in your area. Keep up to date with the Nerdcore by checking out thenerdcore.com for our podcasts and interviews. It's our one-stop shop for everything. Also, follow us on YouTube and Twitch at the Nerdcore. They're all under the same thing. So go help us out, guys. We're really trying to grow the brand this year. And of course, next week we're going to continue on with our journey through this set as we look at the next film, Pijote, from Brazil. But in the meantime, to my wonderful cinephiles and renowned scholars, celebrate the love of cinema today, tomorrow, and every day after. Catch you all in the next one, guys.